Hello, everybody, and welcome back to One Hub Racing. Here we are again on another Sunday evening after a thrilling Singapore Grand Prix in real life where Lando Norris took the victory. We're here in Singapore again for round 5 of season 25, and joining me in the commentary box, of course, is none other than Colin Mason. Welcome, Colin. Looking forward to this one.
Evening, Nick. Evening, all. Yeah, really looking forward to this one, Nick. This is going to be brilliant. Obviously, the drivers have already had their the weather informed to them, and tonight qualifying is going to be clear to light cloud, as quite a lot of drivers are already making their way out on track.
Yeah, I don't think it should affect too much. Obviously, maybe tyre pressures a little bit, tyre temperatures will be adjusted. But I think naturally, being a street circuit, Colin, as we see Spencer's back here this week after missing round 4, naturally at street circuit, the track really ramps up towards the end of the session, the more laps that are done. Maybe just explain to some of our viewers what I mean by that.
Yeah, of course. So, being a street circuit, this is not used by race cars only on the weekend. So during the, like Silverstone has various different events, laying rubber down for these cars to get grip. Now, of course, this isn't happening for street circuits. So the more laps that are done, the more grip that's laid down onto the racetrack, and therefore the more grip the drivers are going to receive. So they're going to want to leave it right at the end to go for their last run.
And unlike last week in Baku, which was also a street track in our first sprint round of the season, it's more difficult to overtake here, Cole. Although there's a good long straight, it's trying to keep with the car in front and slingshot onto that straight and get the move done is incredibly difficult. So qualifying here, very important for these guys.
It is going to be very important for them. And surprisingly, we do have some drivers actually taking their engine penalties for this race. So the engine penalty for this race is 10-second drop. Sorry, 10-place grid drop. So as you know, we reset the lobby after qualifying, and it's going to be a 10-place grid drop. So Lawrence is taking a grid penalty, and so is Mason. So they're going to really want to get a good qualifying because they're going to find it quite difficult to overtake through the pack.
Spencer, by the way, the first man to start a lap, is coming up to some traffic, so I'm not sure. I think, as he locks up and goes slightly deep, so I think it's Funky ahead of him, who also similarly is on a fast lap. So Spencer getting a little bit too close to the car ahead, and this is going to compromise his lap time. He's caught him up on this fast lap, so expect to perhaps see him have to back out of it.
Yeah, of course, he's going to be in the dirty area, the driver ahead as well. So his downforce is definitely going to be decreased. Nice to see Spencer Brown back now. Obviously he missed last week's event round the streets of Baku, and he's going to be hoping now that he's going to be fighting for this win this evening.
We haven't mentioned enough that Shelby sets the first lap time at 28.5. That Jess, of course, is running no assists this season, so I don't think we give enough credit for that as Funky goes in. And look at the lap time between Funky and Shelby, that's incredibly close. As JR Mason pumps in another close one with a 28.5 to lead the way. Obviously, JR Mason, your dad, Colin, getting his first pole position this season, so he's ticked that off the bucket list, and he just needs to transfer what is a much improved pace on F1 24 into the results.
Yeah, he's got the pace. He's made a couple of he made a bit of a strategy error. I think it was in Hungary, and he's been involved in a couple of little incidents, racing incidents, which have derailed him a little bit. But the pace is there, so he's just got to stick it together. But look at the top three. If that isn't an advertisement for One Hub's P2 tier and how close it is, I don't know what is. All the top three are in the 28.5s. And look at this. Dr. Mew has a 5-place grid penalty. Now, the good thing is, we can stop that because obviously we restart the lobby. So something's gone on there. And Salo, what a lap from Salo, a 28.2. One of our new drivers into One Hub this season, and that is showing tremendous pace.
Yeah, other thing to mention, obviously Salou jumps up 3 tenths ahead of anyone else, so 2 Williams in the top 6 at the moment. Not sure whether just invalidated, but he's had to back out of a lap, I think, as Lawrence comes across the line, and he sets a 27.566 to go 6 tenths quick. And yeah, what an incredible lap time that is to start the session off with. But of course, taking an engine penalty, so a 10th place grid drop wherever Lawrence qualifies here tonight.
Yes, I am still surprised that anyone actually has decided to take the grid penalties here. My only conclusion really would be that they're thinking there could be a few safety cars due to the walls being desperately close, and they could take advantage of that. But yeah, look at that pace from Lawrence. So maybe, is this why he decided to take his engine penalty here? Because he knows he's very quick round here and he can use that speed to overtake.
Yeah, difficult to overtake, but obviously lots to play for in strategy as Matthias now comes to start his flying lap. You can be so much more aggressive into turn 1 and 2 here. Let's ride on board with Matthias. Throws the car in, hit the curb, use plenty of the inside curb as he's got another Haas, I believe. Is that exiting the pits? Yes. So Dr. Mew gets out the way of his teammate. Got to be careful not to invalidate on the left-hand side as you enter that corner there. The yellow flag's been set for 3. Not sure if someone's had a moment, but Matthias often is able to show some speed, but again, just sometimes with consistency in this P2 tier, that's what the drivers struggle with. Those who are at the top of the standings, I think, have been more consistent than anything, because as we were saying just before we started the stream, Colin, there's no driver has won 2 races, and that includes the sprint race last week.
Yes, exactly. So it just shows that, you know, winning the championship, really, I think this championship's going to be won not on your best results, but on minimising your worst results. You know, not really having a bad evening. And like you said, Nick, you know, it's all about consistency. Unfortunately, Matthias was issued a time penalty by the stewards for an incident towards the end of Baku, dropping him quite far down the order, and it's little things like that that you've really got to try and avoid if you want to fight for a championship. So as Matthias now coming across the line, and it's a 29 flat, which puts him in P8.
So 3 drivers still to set a lap time here in Singapore. Low numbers tonight, only 14, but we'll still go racing, and hopefully these 14 will put on a hell of a show for us. I'm sure they will. The race is dry as well, Cole. We mentioned that there's going to be a bit of cloud in qualifying, similarly in the race, but dry weather. So last week we saw our first bit of rain in season 25, but here in Singapore it's going to remain dry under the lights.
Yes, so I think the drivers will be very relieved about that. This circuit is very, very tricky, even in dry conditions. So I think most of the drivers will probably be quite relieved, especially the drivers, you know, Mason and Lawrence, who are taking their engine penalties. Obviously, with the wet weather, you don't get DRS down the straight to help you. So I think those 2 drivers are going to be especially pleased that it's staying dry.
Yeah, 10 place grid penalty if you do take a new engine. So that means that we will be doing a lobby restart as per usual in season 25, which means these drivers have all the tyres at their disposal without having to worry about compromising their race strategy. So they can go flat out every qualifying session, and then they'll get a whole new set of tyres for the race, which also opens up their race strategy. So what will we see here? I imagine the hard tyres are probably going to be quite a good tyre to be on, as we've seen generally on this game, Colin. The hard tyre seems to be pretty handy.
Yeah, it seems to be the preferred tyre amongst the drivers. It seems to be quite a consistent tyre. Obviously, the most durable out of the 3 sets on offer. And it does, like you said, Nick, seem to be the preferred tyre. Soft tyres don't seem to make much appearance during the race. So I'm curious to know, will any driver actually take a punt on the soft tyre? We saw from this afternoon's race, Mercedes elected to put Lewis Hamilton on a set of soft tyres, and it didn't really work for him there either. So be interested to see if that replicates into the game.
This is going to be just his first lap as she crosses the line. It's a 29.666. So expected to come back in, get a fresh set of tyres and head out again. As I mentioned, you can expect the lap times to come down towards the end of the session as the track rub it in. Salu's on a lap, only half a tenth up as we head into the end of sector 2, just after the bridge hairpin, which is extremely tricky. Use a bit of curb. The curbs are really interesting at this track, Cole. I don't understand why they don't make some of them more friendly. I feel like the cars could carry so much more speed and be so much more aggressive if they didn't make the curbs with almost a triangle pivot in the middle of them.
Yeah, I agree, and it also makes it more fun because you can really attack the racetrack then. Yeah, it's...
Look at that from Salu.
Wow, what a lap from Salu. That's brilliant. Yeah, so I'm really hoping, actually, I've been fortunate to had a few conversations on Discord with Salu, and he's a very, very nice guy. And don't forget, he showed great sportsmanship a couple of races ago where he actually reported himself to the stewards and basically asked the steward, said, look, I think I was in the wrong there, you should penalise me, which shows great sportsmanship. So I'm really rooting for him this evening, hoping that he has a great result.
Yeah, me too. The community needs, not just ours, but the whole F1 community needs more drivers like him. So the Williams man, and to be honest, he's improved a lot. We're only at round 5, and from where he started at the start of the season, as a lot of drivers, by the way, on this second lap haven't improved. So J.R. Mason, Quinn, Spencer, a few of them just whether they've made a mistake or invalidated, they haven't been able to improve. So for a lot of these drivers, other than Salu, it's all going to be about that last lap. But what can Lawrence do as well? Can he improve? That was only his first lap, remember?
Yes, and of course, don't forget the drivers don't need to save any sets of tyres because there is going to be a lobby restart, so they're not needing to save any tyres for the main race. So it's going to be hell for leather and just do the best you can.
Here we are then. I think Shelby's on a quick lap as he comes into the Singapore sling using plenty of curb there. Again, that's one of those horrible curb that I was just talking about. You can see the Red Bull and another car in the background. But Shelby shown some pace this season. Is he a tenth and a half up on his previous time in Sector 1? But still consistency for the Mercedes man to be shown.
Yeah, let's see what they can do. And look, there's not a lot between the two Mercedes drivers actually. Look at that, just over a tenth and a half between the two Mercs. Don't forget, both Ferrari drivers are not here this evening. So regarding the manufacturer's title, you got Ferrari currently on 97, Alpine on 70, and the Merc on 63. So they're going to hope to close that gap.
Well, M125 as well, leading the championship, the Drivers' Championship. So expect that be dented. So will we see a 5th different winner in 5 races? 6 if you include the sprint. Something we'd love to see as Shelby gets incredibly close to the wall, but backs out of it. So maybe this wasn't in lap. Looked like he was pushing earlier on. But let's see if we can find. Jamie's also in, so he's backed out. Who's this? Spencer's just starting a lap. So let's ride on board with the Williams man as he's got a DRS open.
Yeah, here he comes now into the first couple of sections. So easy to lose traction now. So this corner here, it's going to be vital for him to get a good run, because we're going to go on to a relatively long straight. DRS now wide open. Just smallest movement possible now, not to scrub too much speed off. How much curb does he take? Quite a lot. Runs it nice and wide. Down into second gear now. Gets a relatively good exit. Let's see what his split time is. Oh, huge slide there, so he definitely would have cost him time there. Very quick as they head over, as he heads towards the bridge. My personal favourite part of the track. Heavy braking now, down to first gear. No, sticks it in second. DRS now. This is where they changed the circuit a couple of years ago. So this is another very important. He's 3/10 up. So he's 3/10 up. And now he's going to nail the throttle. So this is the change of the circuit that we saw a couple of years ago. Into the final chicane, braking just before the 50-metre board. Nice and smooth. Last corner. Keeps it in sixth as he crosses the line. And it's a 28.5. 3/10 up into sixth position.
So, a minute 52 left in the session, and plenty of drivers now either on their flying lap or on their out lap, getting ready to only Ghost in the pits, and Spencer won't be improving after that was his final run. So Ghost in the pits, just 9/10 off pole position. Provo pops it up into third position for Mercedes, so that's, you would think, him done and dusted. John's done an identical sector 1 time. So getting nice and aggressive with the curb through the bridge section, as you mentioned, into the hairpin, down to second gear, get nice and early on the power, straighten the car up for best traction. How will the drivers be using their overtake, their ERS on this Singapore street circuit? Very important, of course, as this season, Colt, you can adjust it throughout your qualifying lap and the race.
Yes, it's very, very important to get your ERS practicing sorted, because you can run out and then you're going to lose a ton of time. Mason comes round now, the last corner, just about keeps it within track limits, and it's a 28.1. He does improve up to fourth.
I tell you what, Salou isn't happy. He was, after sector 2, he was half a tenth up, and then he's been weaving. One of those anger weaves, which suggests he wasn't happy, but is he going to try and go again? He's got enough time. The Williams behind him, of course, is his teammate, which is Spencer. So, oh, and someone's had a moment. That's Salou in the wall.
Salou spun in the wall. He just about kept it out of the wall, but that will be his qualifying over. But still, you know, front row, what a great performance. Well, actually, he's going to start this race from pole position, because Lawrence will have that 10-place grid penalty. So Salou will start from pole.
At the moment, unless anyone else can improve, there's still some drivers to cross the line. By the way, after he spun, his teammate Spencer spun on the next corner, so not sure whether there was miscommunication between the Williams pair there or what happened, but both of them not able to improve on their final run when the track is at its best. Is anyone else going to be able to challenge Lawrence? Will Lawrence himself improve? He's 2.5 tenths up, Colin, as he heads into the final chicane.
Wow, that's a huge margin. Can he keep it together? Easy to go invalidate the last corner. No, he keeps it nicely in the limit. A 27.1. What a lap from Lawrence. That's an astonishing lap. That really bodes well for his chances to move up the grid. So who have we got left now to cross the line? I don't think there's many left.
Sixth. I think just Matthias and Matthias is finished. Dr. Mew also is down. So that is your grid. Lawrence obviously finishes the session fastest. But he does have that 10-place grid drop, so he will be starting from 11th place at the moment. And Salou will line up on the front row of the grid with Proverb.
Yeah, that is fantastic. That really makes this this Grand Prix very, very exciting, as I just spotted that Spencer Brown actually returned to the pits without a front wing. So he had a bit of a a bit of an incident around there. So don't forget now, we are going to do a lobby restart. So when the drivers go back to the lobby, go back and start the race, they will retire from the session. But what a session that is. I would say the biggest surprise so far would be Salo up there qualifying in P2.
Yeah, fantastic race. Fantastic pace from him, but will he be able to replicate it in the race? That's going to be really interesting. And I think also, Colin, being a street track, being a long, demanding track, it's going to be interesting to see whether these drivers can keep it consistent, keep it at the wall. How will safety cars affect today's results? We will see, but I'd love to get another winner, Cole, who hasn't won a race this season. So perhaps in a minute we'll look at the grid and we'll see which drivers could make it 6 out of 6, including the sprint result, of course.
Yes, that's right. So quickly running through the order, Lawrence qualifying quickest. Then we have Salo, Proverb in the Mercedes, Mason in the Aston. Then we have Quinn, Funky, Ghost, Spencer, Shelby, Jamie in 10th, Matthias in 11th, Jess qualifying 12th, Giggle having quite a poor, I would say, certainly for his standards, 13th in the McLaren, and Dr. Mew in 14th in the Haas.
Yeah, so Dr. Mew getting that 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Jamie. Not entirely sure what happened there, whether it's minor contact or something a bit more major. But now we'll return to the lobby screen in a moment after the drivers retire from this session. And then the tier coordinator will set up the grid and then we'll get ready to go racing again. But as I mentioned, dry weather here tonight at One Hub Racing. But that doesn't mean we don't plan on being entertained.
Yeah, this is what's going to happen now. I genuinely think that this is going to be a very interesting race. Don't forget, you've got a couple of drivers, with very, very good pace, and they are out of position. So Mason's going to be starting this race from the back, from 14th place, and just a couple of positions ahead of him will be Lawrence. And we know, they have got some fantastic pace. So let's see what they can do.
Yes, and ignore what you're seeing, the bowling going on, we should say, rather than the Formula One race driving on the screen, and all the drivers retiring nice and quickly, which is what we want, except for Matthias, who I think was the last one to retire last week as well. So, and he's done so. So we can get back to the lobby very shortly, and then get the grid set up and get ready to go racing here in Singapore. Do you think, Cole, anyone will have done anything different between qualifying and the race in terms of their setup, or do you think they will have kept it pretty much the same?
I think that's a really good question. I think some drivers will tweak their setup. Chatting with a couple of drivers, I know a couple of drivers have a quali setup and a race setup. So I think they might try and tweak it simply to try and limit the tyre wear. I think this track's going to be quite heavy on the tyres. So if you can just save a few percent every few laps, I think it's going to really help you in the long run.
Yeah, it's a long race. So long race here in Singapore, one of the most demanding on the calendar. Of course, if you race if you race on a setup, Cole, a proper setup with a wheel and stuff, I know I certainly sometimes feel maybe I'm just unfit, but it takes it out of me sometimes after a long race. You're hot, you're sweaty. It does affect you, I think, physically.
100%. And don't forget, it's the type of track where you are hyper focused. You're concentrating for every corner because, one lapse in concentration and you're in the wall, and that could be the end of your race. Yes, definitely. Singapore was actually my very, very first ever league race back in 2019. And it was actually in the rain, numerous safety cars, and the race itself actually went on an hour and 10 minutes, which is quite a long time to be in the seat racing. So yeah, I think a couple of these drivers, towards the end of the race could be feeling it. No disrespect to Mason, but obviously Mason, approaching 70 years of age, I think he's going to be feeling a little bit worse for wear come the end of the race.
Yes, I know that there's the argument, Cole, of sometimes when we start the season and it's in the summertime and it's really hot, and it's hot outside, it's hot inside, and drivers are a bit like, oh, it's too hot to race. But I personally enjoy that challenge of racing in those conditions. Enjoy the challenge of making sure my concentration stays up. It makes the result feel even sweeter when you finish the race and you're just, not to crude anyone out, dripping in sweat, and you're not out of breath, but you're like, that's that type of feeling.
Exactly, yeah. It's really rewarding, when you do a difficult race like Singapore and you keep it out of the wall and you get a good result. You're hot and sweaty, you desperately need a shower, but if you've had a good result, it's absolutely fantastic.
All right. Well, as we await, I think we're waiting for one more driver. Possibly OKK might be joining. I might just jump on and see if he's online. And if he is, I could send him a quick invite. But I don't think he is online, so he'll be missing the race, unfortunately. But we will hope to start with 14 drivers. So Jess and Jamie, the tier coordinators, as Lawrence back in the session. He did put it on provisional pole position, but of course he has a new engine here, which every driver has to do. So let me ask you this, Cole. Do you think some drivers who have taken their engine penalty, we know Jess did last week in Baku, so did Quinn, drivers, I mean, we've had a lot of dry races in the 5 rounds that we've had, so the chances of having some wet races further on in the calendar, when potentially more drivers are going to have to change their engine, do you think that's going to harm them? Because if you change your engine and it's a wet race, as you mentioned earlier, no DRS, and it's just generally difficult to pass.
Yeah, exactly. The drivers, when they choose their um, the race for their engine penalty, you're dead right, Nick. Then they don't want it wet because, like you said, you're not going to have DRS. You're not going to have that aid to help you with overtaking. You could, if you kept it on the black stuff and you didn't spin, obviously, then you could take advantage of drivers who did make an error and spun or damaged their car. But yeah, really speaking, you don't want to have a racetrack wet when you're trying to overtake. It's usually a lot harder. Yes, and like you said, Nick, we've had quite a few dry races now. I know we had a little bit of rain during the sprint last week, but yeah, it's going to be very difficult for them. And don't forget, we use this weather system, so you can't, the likes of Bahrain, if it's on dynamic, chances are it's going to be dry, 99% of the time. But the weather system we use, you can't tell. We've got those set weather conditions, and it doesn't matter what circuit it is, it could be raining.
It definitely could be interesting to race in the rain around somewhere like Qatar or Bahrain or Abu Dhabi or something like that. Be really interesting to experience it. Might change setup completely for those sorts of tracks. But anyway, that's further on in the season. For now, we have got a 31 lap race around Singapore. Will we see safety cars? Will we see some carbon fiber? I'm sure we'll have a few front wing changes. And fuel, interestingly here, Cole, you don't use a lot of it around Singapore. So I expect the drivers to maybe underfuel, which will mean some lift and coast or reliant on safety cars in order to finish the race. But yeah, if you had to pick a winner, Cole, here tonight, who would you go for?
I have a sneaky suspicion that Shelby is going to have an absolute blinder. Shelby, every time I see him race, he's getting better and better and better. He was a bit unfortunate last week where he had a few connection issues, which didn't do him any favours at all. But his driving of late really, really is improving dramatically. And I'm hoping that Salo has a good race as well. But yeah, I think I'm going to put my... if I was a betting man, I would put it on Shelby, I think.
Yes, I'm just looking at the grid, and as we mentioned, we know that who's won a race so far. Let's jump over to we haven't gone through the results, so maybe we should do that first, Cole. Did you want to go through the drivers and then I'll run through the constructors?
Yes, of course. So, currently leading the championship and not here this evening on 66 points is the Ferrari driver of M125. Whopping Proverb, second on 51 points, who is yet to win a race. Third place is Lawrence on 43 points. Fourth, we've got Funky on 39, and then it's very close then. So you've got Cowboy on 31, Quinn on 28, Skrillex on 27, Mason on 26, Jess on 25, Giggle and Matthias on 24. Then in 12th place, we have Spencer Brown and Jamie in 13th, tied on 21 points. Rageman in 14th, Ghost in 15th, Salo in 16th, Shelby in 17th, Specialist in 18th, OKK in 19th, and in 20th place, Dr. Mew.
Alrighty, and in the constructors, which has been sorted on SimGrid, I know there was an issue earlier on in the season which meant it wasn't displaying it correctly, but we've got it all sorted. So Ferrari lead the way on 97 points, but as Colin mentioned, neither driver is racing here in Singapore. So expect the gaps to close up to them at the top of the field. Alpine are next on 70 points with Mercedes on 63. Another 6 points back is whatever you want to call it, RB, I'll call it for short, on 57. Red Bull on 46. McLaren on 40. Williams on 36. Sauber, or Stake, whatever, on 31. Aston Martin on 27. And Haas on 24. So, lots of battles going on. I wouldn't want to pick who would win the Constructors' Championship. Obviously, Ferrari ahead at the moment, but generally they just had a really good round 5 call.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, don't forget Cowboys. He did win the first race of the season in the Ferrari as well, but he has had 2 DNFs this season. So, it shows that Cowboys prone to a couple of errors. M125 showed great consistency, and that is why he's leading the title at the minute. But Lawrence, he's only 23 points behind M125 and showing great pace at the minute. Unfortunately, he did DNF last week. Which derailed his title a little bit, but with M125 away now, he's really got a good chance of really pushing well. A lot of credit as well to Quinn. He had a great race last time out, so he won the sprint race and came third in the main race. So a fantastic weekend for him, and promotes him up to 6th in the title. So let's see what he can do tonight.
Yes, so we're waiting for players. They're going to be loading their setups. They're going to be adjusting the fuel, changing their strategy. I can't help but notice that you can see Jess's garage, what tyres she's going to start on the left-hand side of your bottom side of your screen. So,
sorry, Jess.
Yeah, sorry, Jess. I have to point it out every week. So poor her and Jamie are going to be swapping. I think it was Jamie before, so they've obviously swapped cars.
I think Jamie said, right, it's your turn to let everyone know what tyre you're on.
Yes. What a great little thing there. But you can see all the front wings there, Cole, in the pit lane on their nice stands. Expect to see a few of those be called into action tonight, as well as that safety car down the end there, that red Mercedes you can see.
Yes, I'd be very, very surprised if all those front wings sitting there on their nice stands stay there for the entire race this evening. You saw from the main race today, Lando. Oh, and the lights are on.
So formation lap
will
get us underway. So let's get our things up on the screen so we can see what tyre everyone's on. We can see the lap delta and things like that. And yeah, very interesting here. Singapore, Salou leads us away in the Williams, his first time leading the formation lap. And let's run through. So the top three are all starting on the medium compound tyres. And then you've got fourth down to eighth. So the next, 5 cars on the softs. Matthias on mediums, Jess on softs. And then the 4 at the bottom of the field, also on the medium compound tyres. So what will that mean for strategy? Will the drivers who are starting on soft compound gain some positions at the start? And if so, how quickly will those soft compound tyres give up and they have to come into the pits? It's a long pit stop here, Cole, so you lose a lot of time.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised to see drivers on the soft tyre. Now, are they anticipating a safety car in the first few laps of this race? And they can then get rid of them, and they haven't wasted a nice brand new set of medium tyres? Or is that their planned strategy? It's going to be very, very interesting. So we know Funky and Ghost have got good pace, as well as Spencer Brown. So are they going to be challenging the top 3 then on their medium tyres?
Yeah, it can be really interesting. And I think also, I think who's also gone a bit under the radar, but that has some good pace, is Ghost. So if I had to pick someone for the win tonight that hasn't won a race this season, I'm going to go for Ghost. So let's see, you've gone for Shelby, I've gone for Ghost, both starting on the soft compound. And as you said, I imagine if there is an early safety car, they'll be coming into the pits. But will anyone out? What will the medium drivers do, Cole? Because they're obviously going to be disadvantaged if there is an early safety car and they choose not to pit.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for them, isn't it? I mean, do you pit? Do you stay out, expecting another one? It's going to be very difficult. Yeah, it's going to... I wouldn't really want to be the person deciding on that one, to be honest. I know that one of our former drivers, Hooky, is engineering Mason tonight, so he's going to be deciding that call, at least for Mason. So bit of pressure on his shoulders, and we are about to go racing.
Yeah, the 5 red light. You can see the fans cheering in the grandstand. We got an overhead shot to start of us. Salou gets a good start. The Mercedes doesn't. Quinn does. He's already the Mercedes has already lost 3 positions as we head into turn 1. All looks pretty clean so far. There's contact between the Mercedes and the Williams of Spencer. Hard to judge whose fault that one was, but no major incidents so far as the Alpine of Lawrence comes storming through from 11th place. Of course, set the quickest time in qualifying, and Salou continues to lead us away. You can see that Proverb has lost 7 positions. Lawrence is up 4, Jamie's up 3. Other than that, it's only 1 or 2 as Quinn now takes the lead. What's happened there? And Salou's under attack from the McLaren as well, as there's slight contact between the two of them.
Yes, what a start from Quinn, up 2 places. Now leading the race on a nice fresh set of medium tyres. Now he's going to try and get out of that DRS. But what a disastrous start for Proverb, down 7 places. Spencer Brown as well, down 6. So not a great start. And he has got damage. So he's got front wing damage. His left end plate is missing. Now, some tracks you could get away with it. Not this track. I am genuinely expecting him to box at the end of this lap.
Yeah, you obviously need a lot of downforce around a track like this. Some high-speed corners, street track, as Shelby and Jamie change of position there. Jamie loses the position. Shelby gets past. Both of them on soft compounded tyres. Anyone coming into the pits, let's keep an eye. There's a Mercedes, looks like he's coming in. That's Proverb on off his medium compound.
I was just looking then, and he has got front wing damage. So he's had a disastrous start. I don't know really what happened. He just seemed to miss the lights at the start. He had a really slow getaway. So he's got to have a little bit of work to do now. He's going to really hope a safety car is brought out to save him a bit.
DRS is enabled, and you can see as Quinn goes wide on the exit there of turn 4, I think it is, turn 4 or 5, depending, I think it's turn 5. You've got Funky and Shelby. Shelby's ghosted, so not sure if there was contact between the two. And Lawrence just goes around the outside and avoids clipping the front wing of the Mercedes. Jamie in the background looking to take advantage. So Lawrence already up 6 positions into 5th place, and Shelby losing another position. Has he got wing damage in that Mercedes? I think he might.
Yes, he did. I actually saw the car almost airborne. I think it was around turn 6, and he's lost a whole chunk of his front wing. So he's going to be really struggling to slow the car down. So he's going to have to box. But the good thing is, he is on the soft tyre, so he hasn't wasted a nice set of mediums. Yes, he will have a slower stop, but... oh, we got a yellow flag, and it's Spencer. Spencer is round. Spencer's spun.
And he's retired on track and left the session. So, as you see, the fastest lap tumbled down. So, you'll get a penalty for retiring on track. You're not allowed to do that. Doesn't matter what happens in the race. You need to return to the pits if you want to call it a day. And I think with Spencer Cole, we said this season that he's shown some fantastic pace. But his patience, it just doesn't have any. It's non-existent.
Exactly. He hasn't, at the minute, got the right temperament to be able to lead race. I think he needs to just take a step back a little bit, change his targets, and just try and complete a race. I mean, why on earth on lap 3 of 31 around the streets of Singapore that you'd retire that early just because you got front wing damage is quite baffling, to be honest. It's a real shame because, like you said, Nick, he's got great pace. And even coming into the pits for a new front wing, it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Yeah, exactly. The chances of safety cars are high. As Salou, by the way, has got back ahead of Ghost into 2nd place. So showing that Williams does have some good race pace, and you can see that some of the gaps are starting to open up. Matthias is quite close to the McLaren of Giggle as we head down into chicane. And next year, we hope that the game will introduce the new DRS zone that, of course, has been there. And who's that into the pits, Jamie? I think that's Jamie. Yep, Jamie coming in, get the car slowed down.
Yeah, so now Jamie comes into the pit lane. He's going to go on the hard tyres. So he's going to expect to go quite long now. Nice stop there from the Red Bull team. Yeah, so he's got rid of the soft tyres quite early, only lap 4. So what drivers have we got left now? So Ghost, Funky and Jess are still on those soft tyres, so I expect to see certainly Jess in very soon as well.
Yeah, definitely. Jamie, I think, crossed the white line there. An extremely difficult exit and entrance, to say the least. And John gets ahead of Jess. So you're just starting to see the crossover, I think, already on lap 4. Of drivers who are on the soft compound, Cole, the grip's starting to fall away.
Yes, it does appear that way. Although Ghost is still doing very, very well to stick with the 2 drivers at front, and Salo is attacking Quinn. Salo is all over the gearbox of Quinn. He's really gained in the last couple of laps. I think Salo's got himself into a nice position now. So let's hope now that Salo just picks his point of overtaking wisely. He's in a fantastic position here. Yeah, look at him. He's all over Quinn. DRS wide open. Is he gonna have a go into turn 1?
Let's see. Down the inside, there's contact between the 2. Quinn gives him a shove back. Quinn's now down to 5th. That was difficult to see. It looks like Salou went down the inside. Quinn tried to hold it. I don't want to pass judgment, Cole. I didn't see enough of it.
No, the same here. The only thing I will say is, usually, if I have a driver on the inside of me going down there, I will tend to back out because you are going to pretty much be run out of road due to the nature of the circuit as Ghost takes the lead. So Ghost goes round the outside of Salo now. So those soft tyres still working really well for Ghost in the McLaren.
Yes, the medium tyres, maybe they're not the better tyre to be on at the moment. No safety cars as of yet, and you see Quinn, does he have damage from that incident You can see how late some of the drivers break into this hairpin. Lawrence up to 5th position, by the way, from 11th place. So that's your biggest mover at the moment. But how long are these soft tyres going to last? And you can see that the McLaren struggles to get the power down. And Salou is looking to take the lead. So look how many... who says you can't overtake around Singapore?
Yeah, these drivers are saying, I bet I can overtake, you just watch me. So that's 2 manoeuvres, I think, in 1 lap for Salou. So what a race he's having. Yeah, I think now those soft tyres are starting to struggle. I think you were right, Nick, there, where you said with Ghost, he was really struggling to put his foot down. As Quinn goes down the inside of Funky and takes 3rd place back. Yeah, I think those soft tyres... Oh, Salou's out!
Safety car.
What a shame. What a shame for the... Yeah, I can see him now. He's just... If I go on board Dr. Mew...
You'll be able to see on the left-hand side wall as a safety car comes out. Dr. Mew's probably going to need to pass it. It's just disappeared. It was just there on the left-hand side. So he spun into the barrier. So I can only think got the traction down, got the power down too early, and spun to the inside wall. And that's race over. What will Jamie be told to do? He'll have to pass the safety car, as will Shelby. So all those who pitted, as Proverb is in for his 2nd pit stop, will be able to join the back of the field. This has worked out really well for Ghost and Funky, as Ghost almost hits the wall there under the safety car. So just got to keep that concentration. Twice Quinn's been involved in an overtake or manoeuvre into turn 1, Cole. I think the driver on the outside has got to know when to back out into turn 1 there.
I 100% agree, Nick. I think if you're on the outside there, you've really got to give in. Fight another day. If Quinn just put his car behind Salou and said, okay, I'll let you have it this time and I'll try and get you again. As Shelby DNFs.
So what's happened there? Because he just come out of the pits. That looks like it's on track. So has Shelby crashed out under the safety car? We're right on board with his teammate.
I did see that it popped up that he got a drive-through.
Okay.
Just looking at his race director, so he did get a drive-through penalty. I don't know whether then he got a bit frustrated and then maybe spun into the wall. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. But down to 11 cars now, as the top 8 are in the pit lane.
Yeah, so we'll catch back up with things in a minute. What tyres everyone is on, how many stops each driver has done, and what positions they're in. But for now, Cole, 3 drivers out of our 14 won't be taking any further parts. It looks like 2 of them might have retired on track on purpose. And poor Salou, who started on pole position, spun it into the wall. So imagine the stewards might be interested in seeing some point of views.
Yeah, I know the stewards take quite a dim view of retiring on circuit, as it can cause issues with the lobby. Can unintentionally bring out safety cars as well. So, yeah, I think the stewards will take a dim view of that, I think.
So you can see the red Mercedes leading us round lap 7 of 31. And you can see that Ghost is leading the way. So everyone has completed 1 stop. Proverb, who started on the front row, has completed 2 stops already. So let's have a quick look. Do we think that Proverb, let's see what tyre he's on. He's on the medium. I was going to ask you, Cole, if he was on hard, could he go to the end? But he's not. So you can see there that Funky and Proverb are the only 2 drivers on mediums. Every other driver choosing to run the hard compound in this section of the race.
Yes, so the outlier really is Funky up there in 3rd place on a brand new set of medium tyres. He's going to have some fantastic pace because these hard tyres, they're very, very durable, and when they're up to temperature, they're a great tyre. But from our experience, Nick, it does take a while for those tyres to warm up, especially just after a safety car.
Yeah, the safety car leads us round, so we'll be doing another lap under the safety car. So lap 8 will be completed, and you can see the drivers weaving. They're trying to get temperature into those tyres. But it's extremely difficult on this game, as you mentioned, Colt. But let's see, what's the better tyre to be on, as Funky gets a 10-second penalty for collision with Quinn. So they've obviously made contact. I just hate that the game gives those sorts of penalties out. Colt, I wish you could turn it off and it could just be left to the stewards, you know?
I agree. I really don't understand why you'd get a 10-second time penalty for just a little touch. You can see that it's done no harm to either driver. And unfortunately, Funky is going to have to serve that in the pit lane. So the stewards won't have an opportunity to remove that. But the only thing I will say is I'm always surprised how close drivers like to go between the car in front under safety car conditions, miles away from the restart section. I always like to leave, a good 2 car lengths until at the point that the safety car is about to come in.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, that there's no need to be that close. You can create a gap and then just mind your own business, weave the car, do whatever you want, and then you get plenty of notice when the safety car is coming in. And from that point, you'll be able to catch up to the car in front and obviously be a bit closer for the restart. But, interesting here. You can see that of the 11 drivers, most of them choosing to run the hard compound in this stint. We know that Jess and Jamie haven't stopped under the safety car, so you can see that they're on the slightly older compounds of hard tyres. But maybe they'll have a bit more temperature into them or a bit more information on how they operate. But I think you're right, Paul. These first few laps for these drivers on the hard compound are going to be really tricky. Will we see any more incidents which result in further safety cars?
Yeah, I think this is going to be difficult now for the hard runners. It's so easy to lock a brake or outbrake yourself and run wide, and then of course the wall's so close. And he's gone. I think Ghost is gone, is he?
Yeah, he's gone. So has he timed it right? No, the game slowed him down. So the safety car hadn't come into the pits, which means it will automatically slow the car down. And you can see Funky has chosen to serve his 10-second penalty now and move off of those medium tyres. So will he just fit the hard tyres and try and go to the end of the race? As I previously kind of suggested, you can see that Giggle is all over the back of Matthias. He's doing a good job up there in 4th positions. Lawrence is up into 3rd. We know how much pace he's got, but I did say that I fancied Ghost here for the win. Will he make my prediction come true?
Yes, you certainly did, and he's put himself into a fantastic position at the minute, leading away. Is he going to try and push now to try and get out of 1 second from Quinn to stop Quinn getting that DRS? There you can see now Funky served his penalty. He is now out on hard tyres. Such a shame for Funky. That really has hurt him. As Jamie and Mason are very, very close. Good friends off track as well, Jamie and Mason. Of course, former teammates and former constructors champions when they were teammates as well.
Yeah, and you can see that Provom has been all over the back of the Red Bull this lap. Almost tried to go down the inside before the bridge section where it tightens up, and you can just see the extra grip that those medium, softer compounded tyres are giving. And let's ride on board through these last two. Look at this, he's going to have a run here down the start-finish straight, potentially into turn 1. Is he going to use the... Yes, he's got overtake on. Is he going to send it down the inside? No, but I tell you what, fair play to Jamie, who gave him room anyway.
Yes, but quite aggressive defending there from Jamie, which is great to see. Perfectly fair. Give him a little bit of room. Oh, and there's a bit of contact as well. I think they got away with damage. I think it was only a slight nudge.
Down the inside.
He's got him. I think he's got him with a DRS, has he? Yes, nice and through.
Yeah, a little bit of argy-bargy there as they came onto the straight. Jamie went defensive, and I don't think Proverb was there for expecting how much Jamie had to slow down. Lawrence, by the way, is up into P2 ahead of Quinn, and Ghost currently has that gap just over a second, but will Lawrence be able to do anything about it? Mostly drivers on the hard compound, as we said. Funky will be having a lonely race down there in 11th place. He'll be hoping for sure that there's another safety car.
Yes, but don't forget, we do have points down to 12th. So even if he stays where he is, that is 2 points. And we've seen championships decided before on less than 2 points. So every point is going to be vital. But it's a long, long way to go in this race yet. Still 21 laps to go.
Yeah, and every driver except for Funky, as Lawrence sets the fastest lap of the race and gets that gap down to 6/10, half a second now. Every driver does have a problem here. He's lost a lot of time in the last kind of 3 corners. Every driver still has to stop twice. So will Lawrence be looking to take the lead here as he gets the DRS open on lap 11? Let's ride on board. Does he have enough straight line speed? Is Ghost going to defend? Is he going to send it down the inside? No, not on this occasion.
Yeah, he thinks better of it, sorry. Ghost, very experienced driver, very clean driver as well, and he knows where to place his car. Didn't defend thin air there. We've seen drivers do that in the past. So I don't think Lawrence is going to find overtaking this McLaren very easy at all. He's going to have to use a little bit of his ERS. He does have 80% of his ERS. Ghost only 50%. So it's not going to be super easy for Lawrence to overtake.
Yeah, difficult place to overtake, but then the drivers proved us wrong in the opening stint. But was that down to mistakes? You can see that the gap has opened back up to nearly a second. So Ghost trying to get out of that as Lawrence goes slightly deep there. Is that going to mean he falls out of a second? Yes, it does. So it's only Proverb who's currently within a second of the other car. And could that change? It hits 9/10, but he's starting to bring it back down. And he's chasing down Mason for 6th position.
Yes, so Mason doesn't have the advantage of DRS himself. He's not quite close enough to giggle. So Proverb, with those medium tyres, he's going to have a little bit more grip. He's going to be in the DRS. Is he going to be close enough to have a go?
Here comes Lawrence closing up 0.3 of a second as they head into the left-hander. But yeah, just not close enough. Not enough straight line speed. The straight finishes too soon for the Alpine driver, who of course, Colin, won last time out in Baku. I think it was the sprint race, or was it the main race?
I will double check. So Lawrence actually came second in the sprint, but he had a DNF from
just the week before, round 4.
Yes, that's right. Round 4 he took victory. Round 3 he took victory, which I think would have been Hungary, I think, from memory. So he's a proven winner, and he's being nice and patient. It's very easy to lose your patience around here, when you're stuck behind a car that you can't overtake. He's just got to bide his time, but he's right on him. DRS open. Is he close enough to have a go? Ghost defensive, blocking him into the inside. Good defensive driving there from Ghost. Great defensive driving from the McLaren driver there.
Yeah, goes to the inside to make it clear. Don't try and think about it, sunshine. And then drifts back towards the racing line, which is exactly how you're meant to defend. But the gap is 0.3. Lawrence's DRS is open. Is he going to have enough overspeed to get the job done? Ghost doesn't go defensive. Lawrence goes down the inside, side by side, and Lawrence has the job done.
Lovely move there. Both drivers there really showing good awareness. That's a lovely move. Now, can Ghost stay in that 1 second in that DRS zone now for the next couple of sections, because they've kind of dropped Quinn a bit. Quinn's now nearly 4 seconds back. Oh, Lawrence almost hit the wall, so close. outbroke himself a little bit and nearly slammed into the wall.
Is Ghost going to try and send it? Oh no, is he going to tap the back of the Alpine? No is the answer again. Will he have another chance here? I think once this DRS zone gets added, it's going to provide some great overtaking into the final chicane. 0.2 of a second, but not much left in that McLaren at the moment. And on that last lap, Proverb using those medium tyres to get past JR Mason for 6th position. You can see that Matthias is now on the back of Quinn. So let's jump on board with this one. Quinn seems to be struggling a little bit here in Singapore.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? He seemed to have quite good pace at the start of the race. But I don't know whether he's having a bit of quite aggressive tyre wear on that stake. But he seemed to be struggling with Matthias all over him now. He's going to have DRS to aid him down the straight, and he's got plenty of airs. Is he going to have a go? He's trying around the outside to get the inside for the following corner, and it's already done. Nice move by Matthias. So that's Matthias up into the podium places. Quinn down to 4th.
I was riding on board with Matthias then, and as he went past the neon green car and drifted back to the outside line, I did wince a little bit because I thought potentially that he hadn't given enough of a gap to the Sauber, but proved me wrong. And oh gosh, some of these drivers are getting close to these walls, Cole.
Yeah, I've been on board with quite a few drivers. They really are going as close as they can to the wall, which is great to see, showing great skill. But of course, one small error, and that's it. Your front wing's going to be gone. We saw it from Magnussen this afternoon, where he hit the wall and damaged his rear rim and caused a puncture. And the drivers have got to be very careful of not making an error. You know, we saw even Norris, had such a big lead, a little bit of concentration and nearly ended the race. So, this is a long old race. I think, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the longest 50% race throughout the entire calendar, throughout the whole season, I believe.
Yes, you are correct. I don't know whether any of the new tracks like Vegas have changed it, but I don't think so. I'm sure that Singapore has always been the toughest physically for the drivers, and it's always been the one that's close to that 2-hour window. Of course, we run 50% races here at One Hub Racing. I have done a few 100% races in my league racing career, and they are tough. They really are.
Oh, they are definitely tough. I'm always mentally drained after a race round here. I think, the drivers are going to look up now and go, lap 15 out of 31, I'm knackered already. They're going to, the concentration levels are going to have to be on point. And I think, I was just looking down the grid now, I think Proverb is starting to struggle a little bit on those medium tyres. He passed Mason, but he does seem to be holding him up. Yeah, he's locking he nearly spun then, actually. It was a good save by the Mercedes driver. I suspect to see Proverb coming in for some hard tyres soon. But he does seem to be struggling. He was closing right up to Giggle, but now it's nearly a 3-second gap.
Yeah, and interestingly, that gap between Ghost and Lawrence keeps flickering up to 1.5 and then back down within DRS. So is that just us, where the drivers are choosing to use it, or is that mistakes? Extremely difficult track here in Singapore. Long one, as we've just been talking about. But look at this. Is John going to be able to get the job back done on Proverb here after he was passed earlier on in this stint by the Mercedes? So this just shows the difference between the tyre compounds. One will be quicker for the start, but will drop off, and the other then becomes the better tyre to be on. Interestingly, it looks like Proverb will be the driver on the hard tyres towards the end of the race, where potentially all the other cars, if they can last another 5 laps, Cole, 4 or 5 laps, I imagine they will go mediums to the end.
I would have thought so, yes. I think they're going to stretch them out. Now, don't forget, some drivers might have actually chosen the harder tyre compound strategy, which gives them 2 sets of hards as opposed to 2 sets of medium tyres. So it'll be interesting to see which drivers have chosen that strategy. But yes, I do suspect the vast majority of them will go on to the medium set of tyres, as there's starting to be a little bit of a train forming behind Proverb.
Yeah, you can see the Red Bull of Jamie on 12 lap also, the oldest tyres on the current field, and you can see that gap 1.2 between the top two, so Lawrence isn't pulling away from Ghost. He's keeping them honest, and look at that, the Mercedes has a tank slapper. I thought he was going to then come into the pits, but continues on, and it looks like JR Mason is going to go past down the outside, and yeah, that is job done.
I know Proverb quite well now, having the opportunity to talk to him quite a lot. That almost looked like he let the Aston Martin go there. I think he was being very generous there towards the Aston Martin driver. Always a fantastic driver in our community. Don't forget, he has won the championship with us. He won the P3 title a couple of seasons ago without winning a race. So showing that consistency is the key.
Definitely is consistency around a street track like this, and no mistakes. So I'm interested. You haven't seen too many yellow flags and too many front wings flying around. So yeah, these drivers are doing well. P2 tier, obviously we lost 3 drivers in the race so far, and you can see John got incredibly close to the wall there as he exited the hairpin.
Yeah, that was a bit close for comfort. I don't know whether he knew or planned that he was going to be that close to the wall. I don't know.
That changes things at the top.
That certainly changes things. Now, it's not really the type of circuit where you see many time penalties. You can get them as Proverb pits to try and get rid of those medium tyres. But yeah, it's going to be quite... Yeah, look at Ghost now. He's actually within a second as well. So this race now, that really has given Ghost the heads up now. He can gauge his pace a little bit. He's really all over him, actually. He's really fighting him. Now, this is very surprising because it did look like Lawrence was pretty much done and dusted and he was holding the gap. I don't know whether he's struggling a little bit.
The pace that Lawrence showed in qualifying was incredible, so the fact that Ghost is able to stay this close to him, and now potentially, after penalties, ahead of him, obviously a long way to go still in this race, another 13 laps. Interestingly, Quinn has only just dropped out of Matthias's DRS zone. He was within a second all those laps after being passed by the Haas driver, and look at this, what's the DRS situation like between these two? Looks like, yeah, Lawrence has plenty more than Ghost, but I don't think Ghost really cares at this point. He's just pressuring the Alpine driver, hoping into a mistake.
Yes, exactly that. One thing I have noticed is that Matthias has started to close that gap. So it was up to 4.5 seconds a few laps ago. It's now down to just 3.8. So is Matthias a bit happier on these...
Lawrence almost did a salute and went into the inside wall on the exit of turn 2 there. And will this give Ghost the chance that he needs? No, he's too far back. But that was a scary moment. The rear tyres screeched. They lit up. Interestingly, Jamie and Jess have done 15 and 14 lap on these hard compounded tyres. But it seems like some drivers are starting to struggle, Cole.
Yes, quite surprising because, we've still got, we've got 12 laps to go. And we're 12 laps in, so they're not going to be keen on changing tyres yet because the mediums are certainly not going to last 12 laps without struggling. We saw that with Proverb. So, yeah, I'm very surprised. Ghost is really, his race pace this evening has been fantastic, and he's sticking in that DRS. He knows that Lawrence has got a penalty, so there's no desperate move to need to overtake him. He can do it as they cross the line behind him if necessary.
Speaking of overtaking,
very interesting.
Proverb has just got ahead of Funky. So Funky on 10 lap old hards, and Proverb the first of the top 10 to pit for their second time and run the second set of tyres, and obviously he's gone to the hard tyre. I imagine all those in front of him are going to be choosing the medium tyre for their final stint. I reckon if they box this lap, Cole, they could make the mediums last, considering that the car will be on low fuel. As Dr. Mew joins Lawrence with a 3-second time penalty. Only a couple of drivers so far, but will we see any more as the race goes on, and how much will that hamper them? John, by the way, Gerald Mason, is closing the gap slowly, lap after lap, to Giggle, so he could be on for a top 5 here, potentially even more. Let's see what happens with these final pit stops. They're down to 1.2, the Aston Martin man.
Yes, he's really gained on Giggle now. I'm wondering whether he's going to decide to try and undercut Giggle. And box a couple of laps earlier than he planned. But he might just simply have the pace to overtake him. He's almost in DRS at the minute. Almost in DRS. Credit to go out as well to Dr. Mew. You know, he's kept it out of the wall. He's in a great 9th place in the minute in the Haas. A little bit back from Jess, but he's keeping out of the wall. He's not damaging his car in any way, and he's having a very good race.
Yeah, Giggle's having a bit of a lonely race. They're in 5th place at the moment in the other McLaren. 2 McLarens in the top 5 at the moment. But a bit of a lonely one until John's about to join the party. You can see Quinn is now 3.2 behind Matthias, and Matthias is kind of holding that gap to the top 2 at 3.5, whilst Lawrence has almost extended it to 2 seconds. So lap 21, will we see any of these drivers come in to the pits at the end of this lap? The mediums can definitely do 10 laps, Cole. So as you mentioned, is anyone going to pull the trigger on the undercut, or are we going to see some perhaps drivers try and extend and go on the softs?
Yes, that is more than possible. Lawrence now, you can see he's pushing really hard because he's trying to get that 3 seconds from Ghost. It's up to 2.1 at the minute. Proverb then overtaking Funky couple of laps ago. Dr. Mew now in the pit lane, so that drops him down now to 11th place. Now, what tyres Dr. Mew going to pick? I suspect it's going to be the mediums, like you said, Nick.
Yep, let's see. We're in the pit lane, and it's the yellow marked tyres for Dr. Mew. So as he comes out the pits, it's a really tricky exit here. Really tight and narrow, and you can see the white line there. Keeps it clean, nice and close to the wall, and then exit back onto the track. So he'll be looking to see whether he can get a bit of an undercut on those fresh medium compound tyres.
Yes, I think the undercut round here, you know, due to the nature of the circuit, is quite strong, the undercut here. So yes, there's Ghost and Matthias now. So Ghost has decided to pit, same as Matthias, same as Quinn.
Same as Mason.
And Mason pits as well. Yeah, Mason decides to pit as well. Very difficult pit entry here. Very easy to get a pit lane speed in penalty. They've all managed to avoid it so far. Matthias. Now Matthias has gone on soft tyres.
That's interesting.
He's going to be rapid at the start, but I think he's going to struggle towards the end. Jess carries on through. So there's Jess now. She's done 17 laps, and Jamie 18 laps on those hard tyres. That's a great stint for the 2 Red Bull drivers.
Matthias just tapped the wall on the exit there. I don't think he lost a position. But look at this. So John's come out just behind Proverb. And John's gone for those medium tyres, as has Quinn and Ghost. So this lap for Ghost is really important. If he can gain 2 seconds on this lap, he will come out ahead of Lawrence. And then all he needs to do is keep him either behind or within 3 seconds, which I definitely think is possible for Ghost. He could be on for the win here.
Yes, he's really got to push really hard. Now, if he can just gain a couple more tenths, he'll also get DRS on Jamie as well, which will help him tremendously to jump Lawrence in the pit lane. He's really catching up now. He's really pushing. You can see how hard he's pushing. He's also using his overtake as well. So he knows he's trying to go for this undercut. As Jess gets a 3-second time penalty as well. This is, you can see now the drivers are starting to get a little bit tired. You know, the concentration's dropping, and then we get in these penalties as well.
So Lawrence stays out. That's interesting. Jamie's into the pit, as is Giggle. So they're going to go, I presume, Giggle's on mediums. Where's Jamie gone? Jamie's onto mediums as well. So mediums are going to be the favourite tyre to finish the race on. Matthias has gone for softs. Is that what Lawrence is trying to do? Extend it so that he can run the soft tyres at the end of the race. He's definitely going to get undercut here. It's about 27 seconds, the pit lane loss. Just slightly under 30 as per real life. So I imagine you can see that gap, 26.6. Let's keep an eye on it, Cole.
Yes, so let's see now. How much can Ghost gain on him? I'm quite surprised how well Lawrence is doing on those worn hard tyres, but Ghost is catching him. You can see it's come down by a couple of tenths. Nearly there. Now we're into the 25 seconds now. So he's gained almost a second on Lawrence just in that sector. So I'm pretty certain he's going to jump him. Like you said, Nick, I'm almost certain he's now going to choose to go on softs towards the end. But is Matthias going to be able to jump Lawrence as well? Because that could happen here.
So he's got mediums. So Lawrence has got mediums. So he will get undercut, but he will have the fresher compounded tyres. But he's got to get past and get 3 seconds ahead. So you can see Ghost sets the fastest lap of the race. And you can see Lawrence has lost the position already. So we'll find out what the gap's going to be. I'm just going to quickly jump on board because you've got Proverb, Giggle and JR Mason all within a second of each other. You can see that Proverb is on those older hard compounded tyres, whilst the two cars behind are on the newer medium tyres. So JR Mason seemed to gain quite a bit by pitting that lap early on Giggle.
Yes, he certainly gained quite a bit there. And Proverb really hounding Giggle now. We were wrong regarding Lawrence, so he did go on those medium set of tyres. Maybe he didn't feel confident enough to make those mediums stretch. Certainly not with the softs. So he's decided to have a better set of tyres towards the end of the race. But he is catching Ghosts. But he has got that 3 seconds.
He does. Just the only driver yet to complete the mandatory 2-stop here in One Hub Racing. And Matthias was within a second of Lawrence. So Lawrence almost got undercut by the Haas driver as well as Ghost by staying out those extra couple laps. But will Matthias have enough grip left in those soft tyres to... he gets incredibly close to the wall before he turns in to that final chicane. But yeah, 2.4 the gap between the top two. This is all to play for the win. You can see that Giggle is all over the back of Proverb, but at the moment can't find a way past.
Yeah, that's right. So Proverb now on those hard compound tyres, so he is not going to have the same level of grip as the two drivers behind, but it is such a difficult track to overtake. And I think that's Jess in the pit lane yet. So that's Jess now completing her mandatory pit stop. Is she going to go on a set of soft tyres? Is she going to try and get a fast lap out of those soft tyres? As Lawrence now nearly within a second of Ghost. Do you know what? This race is not over yet.
Yeah, and it looks like Giggle's got a decent run on the Mercedes. Will he try and send it, or does the Mercedes have enough straight line speed? It looks like the Mercedes does have enough straight line speed. Into the next section of this twisty circuit. Got to be careful, try and keep with the car in front. But the car in front is always going to be able to get on that power a little bit earlier, so it's difficult to try and get the traction and get the job done. This is holding JR Mason up. But it looks to me like Matthias isn't going to have anything to do with this battle for the win. And interestingly, will Quinn be able to gain back that podium towards the end of the lap? And you can see, as we come to finish lap 25, Lawrence is all over the back of Ghost.
Yes, look at this, left and right, diving. Is he going to go down the inside into turn one? Yes, the manoeuvre's already done. So Ghost chose not to fight that too hard. So Ghost's plan now must be just stay within 3 seconds. It's just 5 laps to go. Can Lawrence... Oh, we got a yellow flag. Dr. Mew is out of the race. What a shame. And we got a virtual safety car.
So this will hurt Lawrence. The longer this stays out, the less time he has to get that gap over 3 seconds and keep this race win. Remember, if he wins, he will be our first second race winner here in the P2 tier this season. If Ghost wins, he will continue the streak of, that will be 6 winners out of 5 rounds, including the sprint, of course.
And Funky there decides, do you know what? Virtual safety car, I'm going to pit. So he's going to come out now. So it's a shorter pit stop, of course, under the virtual safety car. He's not going to lose so much time, and he's going to come out on a nice brand new set of soft tyres. So he's in 10th place at the minute, and he could, hopefully for himself, he'll be able to go for the fastest lap. Oh, as he gets a drive through for speeding under the VSC. What a shame for Funky.
Alrighty, so the back underway. Virtual safety car is over, but yeah, Funky will have to serve that drive-through penalty. I imagine all that he's going to be going through his mind now is the fastest lap. He's going to try and take that off Lawrence after Lawrence said it on the previous lap. Lawrence opens that gap already over a second. So 5 laps here to go, including the one that we're on. And will we see Lawrence take his second win of the season? I'm massively excited. And we can see that Giggle has finally got past Proverb, and that has been done into the final chicane. And now it's JR Mason's turn.
Yes, that's a brave move from Giggle there. Obviously, no, not really much of a DRS assistance, I don't think, there. I think that was just simply outbraking the Mercedes driver. Now, can Mason bring himself onto the back? He's got plenty of ERS, Mason. He's got 60%. The drivers ahead have only got really 18%. Proverb, mind, he does have 60%. Is he going to try and challenge? He's right on the back of Giggle. Oh, that was so close. Proverb in the inside and takes it back. What great racing from these two.
So that McLaren obviously doesn't have the same straight line speed that the Mercedes is able to show off here in Singapore. And Ghost, that gap went up to 1.2 and it's come down again. It seems to me that Lawrence is much quicker in the first half of the lap, but Ghost is able to pull it back in the second half of the lap. So I don't think that's DRS related. Could that just be, as Lawrence gets close to the wall there, could that just be where they decide to deploy their ERS, or what do you think it is?
Yes, I think you could be right. I'm just looking, I was on board Ghost then, and he's only got 5% ERS, so maybe he used it on the back straight. Ghost now nearly 2 seconds back, so he's really got to keep pushing if he wants to take this victory. Are we going to see 2 McLarens win the Singapore Grand Prix today? He's going to have to keep pushing. Lawrence driving so well. You can see how close he's going to the walls to try and gain that extra second to stay within, or to exceed the 3-second time penalty that he is going to get at the end of the race.
Quinn, by the way, just started to get that gap under 6 seconds to Matthias on those soft compound tyres. And look at this, Giggle is going to have another go here. That DRS is open on Proverb. Proverb is holding them up so much. Look at the gap, 17 seconds. And just, he isn't able to get enough alongside. But look at this, go slightly deep and round the outside of this slow hairpin. Is it possible? They give each other plenty of room. Left hand, the next one goes deep and makes the Mercedes go deep, but the Mercedes is going to have a better run here.
This is brilliant. This is amazing driving. Look at this, side by side for basically 4 corners there. That is great respect from both drivers. You can't rely on just one driver to be able to do that. You know, you need both drivers. You can see how desperate these drivers are for that 5th place. And Jamie says, I want to get involved in this party. And it's now a 4-way battle for 5th place.
Well, I was thinking that JR Mason's got the hot seat here because he's just waiting for something to happen between the 2 in front and take advantage. But now he's going to have a mirror full of his former teammates. Of course, Jamie will be on that slightly fresher medium compounded tyres. only by a lap, and the gap has just hit 3 seconds between the top two. So 2.5 laps to go. Can Ghost do anything to get it under 3 seconds? Let's wait and find out. We'll stay on board with this battle as the gap now is 20 seconds between Giggle and Quinn. That's how much time has been lost. And the Mercedes is not giving up.
This is brilliant. Despite being on those 11-lap old hards now, he's going to definitely feel a little bit of wear on that car, but he's still fighting. Is he close enough to have a go? No, not quite. But the DRS brings him in it. And this is going to be astonishing. I'm surprised that Mason is sitting back here. I thought he went, as Proverb, he loses not one, but 2 places. So those hard tyres really starting to give in now. And unfortunately for Proverb, he's now down to 8th place.
Okie dokie. So the Mercedes, those rears, you can see again on the corner exit. Just struggling. You can see all the smoke there. The gap, by the way, has gone up to 4.2 seconds between the top two. Can Ghost do anything in these last couple laps? He doesn't have much airs left. Lawrence, as you said, was pushing to the absolute limit here tonight to try and get that gap over 3 seconds, and he's now got it to nearly 4.5. You have to say that over the course of the race and qualifying, he has been the quickest driver.
Yes, his pace tonight has been absolutely tremendous. So that's going to... So what have we got? A lap and a half to go now. He's just got to keep it out of the wall. Mason now, he's still in within DRS of Giggle. And Jamie is nearly within DRS of Mason. But yeah, look at the gap now, 5 seconds. I think Ghost gets a time penalty, so that pretty much nails that. I think Ghost now is probably just going to settle for a fantastic podium for the for the McLaren driver. He's struggled a little bit this season. Game hasn't suited him as well as he'd hoped, but a great driving from him nonetheless.
Oh, Lawrence has made a mistake. And he was ghosted for a second there, so you see that gap coming down. He almost binned it onto the inside wall just before the 2 final left-handers. So I imagine his heart would have been fully in his mouth.
Oh, that was nearly disastrous for the Alpine driver. I suspect he'll now take it quite easy now. Oh, that would have been, I think that definitely would have been a heart-in-the-mouth moment there for the Alpine driver. Ghost must have been thinking, I've got a chance here. But they do seem to have settled down a little bit. As Mason's still on the back. So this is going to be Mason's last chance now. Oh, we got a yellow flag in Sector 3. Who is that for?
Proverb. Final corner.
Yes.
Lost the rears slightly. 13 lap hold. Interestingly though, we know they can go longer because Jamie and Jess did nearly 20 laps on those hard tyres, so it's just perhaps affecting the Mercedes. We know he's running a lower downforce because of the straight line speed, and maybe that's hurting his tyres a bit more. But J.R. Mason hasn't been able to get through on the straight, and does this mean that he will have to settle for 6th position here tonight? The gap between the top two has come down to 3.3 seconds, but it doesn't matter because they've both now got 3-second penalties. Let's jump on board with Lawrence as he comes through the final chicane, currently sitting 3rd in the standings. This is going to catapult him back up the field. Won't jump ahead of M125, but in Singapore, here he comes. The fireworks go off, and he wins round 5 with Ghost taking his first podium of the season. And well done to Matthias for getting those softs to last and finishing only a second behind, 4 seconds off the lead. Well done to him. Quinn comes across the line in 4th position, did gain massively on Matthias in those last few laps. And then we're going to see what we think will be Giggle, 21 seconds further back on the top 4, coming across the line to take 5th. J.R. Mason, 6th, that's his best result of the season, I believe. Jamie takes 7th. Proverb in his limping Mercedes with those hot rear tyres is going to take 8th. And then Jess coming through the final chicane is going to come across the line for ninth, with Funky bringing up the final finishers. Shall we do our driver of the day now, Colt?
Yes, Nick, I think I've nicked the first opportunity to give it the last couple of weeks, so I think I'll hand over to you for your first nomination.
Alright, well, I am going to nominate Ghost for my driver of the day. First podium of the season, I believe, for him. And my question is going to be, how long into the final stint of this race did you believe you could still win until you got that 3-second time penalty?
Yeah, thoroughly deserved driver of the day nomination there for Ghost. As brilliantly as Lawrence drove, I'm actually going to give it to Matthias for my driver of the day nomination. It's his first podium of the season. His best result so far was round 2 of a 6th place. So a great drive by Matthias. So my question for you is, did you really think that you could get those soft tyres to last that long? Were you taking it easy towards the last few laps, or were you still pushing?
Good question, Cole, and a good race. We said sometimes Singapore can open up the gaps and be a bit boring, but with 4 DNFs and 10 finishes, it certainly provided us with entertainment. Lawrence taking the fastest lap as well. Of course, it will only be the fastest lap for inside the top 10, and I'll let you quickly run through the results.
So our race winner today round the streets of Singapore is Lawrence in the Alpine. Second is Ghost. Completing the podium is Matthias in 3rd place. A great result there for Quinn as well in 4th place. Giggle in 5th. Mason, his best result of the season and last season for that matter, in 6th place. 7th is Jamie. Proverb in 8th. Jess in 9th, Funky in 10th, and our 4 DNFs tonight are Dr. Mew, Salo, Spencer, and I've forgotten the 4th one, I'm ashamed to say. And it would have been...
Not sure.
No, not sure myself. But what a race that was. Wasn't decided until, the last few laps, really. Lawrence having a bit of a scare right towards the end where he nearly lost the win. But that will really bump him up in the championship now. So currently 3rd with 43 points. That race win with the fastest lap will give him 21 points. So he'll be on 64 with M125 on 66.
Thrilling race and a thrilling championship. So we will sign off there. I just want to give a quick thank you, as we haven't done yet, to our sponsors, Next Level Racing, of course, providing us with prizes for over 10 seasons now. So big thanks to them. And of course, you've got SimGrid, who we run all our championships through. They are a massive community of drivers, and we're delighted to be a part of that. Of course, you can get your sim racing gloves or socks through Pure Sim Gear, and of course Vespertine, who provide our merchandise. Head over and grab yourself a One Hub t-shirt cap, or the winter's coming, maybe grab yourself a hoodie. Colin, the P1 tier will be live in 20 minutes to race around Singapore. Same conditions, different drivers, different result, and we'll leave it there for tonight. Big thanks for joining us. If you've jumped in the stream, make sure to give us a follow on Twitch. Cole, thank you very much for joining me in the commentary box. Been a pleasure. Final words?
Thank you very much. I'd just like to take this opportunity as well. As some of you may know, I decided to have a bit of a sabbatical with league racing. I've loved my time league racing. I cannot thank everyone at One Hub Racing enough. In my opinion, it's the best league out there, and it's not even close. I know I might be a bit biased, and I would just like to thank specifically the owners of One Hub, being Nick, Jess, and Lukey. And I will still be looking forward to and commentating every race for the rest of the season, and hopefully I shall be back sometime in the future.
Well, thanks for that, Cole, and we will be your home, of course, whenever you decide to return to league racing. But P1 tier will continue with Singapore and 20 minutes. For now, this is goodbye from us. We'll see you next week. Big thanks for everyone watching, and thanks for the drivers for a great race. Adios.
Good night, all.